Welcome to r/EntitledParents, where this porch pirate gets destroyed in the funniest way possible. Neighbor opens my parcel and shouts at me for the contents. I can't actually believe this conversation just happened. The sheer entitlement and ridiculousness of it has made me laugh, but also left me speechless. I ordered a mug from Amazon as a gift to my best mate. The mug had the word CUNT on it, with the C as the handle. Cute mug, would recommend. Anyway, there is a house on the street next to mine that has a very similar address to mine, and I'll often get their post and they sometimes get mine. For example, my address would be something like number 6 random streets and theirs is number 6 random side street. It's annoying as they're different plus or minus one word, but the names of myself and that family are so wildly different that you'd think the postman or any delivery driver might have got used to that by now, but I digress. I had the notification from Amazon to say my mug had been delivered and was in the safe place. I go to check and it isn't, and so I go round to the similar address's house to see if it was indeed there, and I get no answer. I decide that I'll try again later and/or they'll bring it over before I contact Amazon. Now a few days pass and they don't bring my parcel around, so I get Amazon to replace it. But then half an hour ago there was a knock on my door. I open the door to the father of the family at the similar address, holding my Amazon parcel that's been opened, and he quite literally throws it at me. Before I can form words, he says, "My 11-year-old child opened that. Don't you ever order something so disgusting again. How dare you?" And he started to storm off. I register what the heck he just said, and I shout after him, "Wait, what the? No one should be opening my post anyway. That's a criminal offense. How dare you have the cheek to come to my house and berate me for opening my post?" He just waved his hand at me dismissively and carried on walking. I just stood there for a good minute trying to figure out if that actually happened. Well, it did, and now I have 2 CUNT mugs. I'm so tempted to leave one on his doorstep with a note saying, "You can keep it, mate. It's definitely been made for you." Wow, what a way to end things once and for all. I mean, hearing that after just being so angry and then your neighbor saying that to you, that has gotta hurt. So good. I feel like at this point, you have any excuse to order your neighbor just whatever you want. It could be something, pretty adult, naughty, just downright disgusting. I feel like if they're opening your post, then, let them open your post, right? And see what other surprises you have for them. It's so weird though. Them getting angry at you for opening your post. Mental. My cousin's wife tried to put their young son on a plane flight with me. Oh boy, here we go. I've lurked on this subreddit for years, but stopped due to the pandemic for mental health reasons. But I've wanted to tell this story for a while now. Let's start from the beginning. It was my very first semester as a college freshman. I officially moved into my college dorm to start this new chapter of my life. I'm an international student, so it was a tough experience once reality settled. Thankfully, I had my cousin, whom I haven't seen in years, and his wife, who lived in Dallas, who helped me with getting a US number, bedding, and school supplies. Fast forward to Thanksgiving break. I accepted my cousin's offer to go to Dallas for the break, since it was better than staying in the dorms. I met his 2 kids, a son and a daughter. We catch up with each other, seeing how our lives have gone up to that point. The break ended, and I went back to college to study for finals. Then it happened. My cousin's wife asked for a favor via text. The favor? Take their 8-year-old son home back to the Caribbean with me because his godmother wanted to see him. I told her that I wasn't able to do that because I didn't know when my exams would be finished. I actually did know when, I just told her that so she would leave me alone or do something herself. I'd already made up my mind with my mum's support that I wasn't doing that. Fast forward to a few weeks later. I was chilling in the airport, minding my own business, when my cousin called me. He asked if I was doing something for his wife. I said no and explained myself in the situation. He thanked me and I thought that would be the end of it. But no, I saw her with their son holding a suitcase and a carry-on when I was walking to my gate. My cousin was nowhere to be seen. I asked her what she was doing. She gave me some sob story of how his godmother wanted to see him and told me that he'll be good as he was hugging my leg. I was shocked. I felt my heart race. The groups were being called and I had to make a decision. Note, I'd just turned 18 at the time and I barely knew this child. I like to have everything in order and pre-planned to avoid confusion, and this would complicate everything. Furthermore, immigration would be on my case. Finally, I don't know who his godmother is or what she looks like. I told her no, stating that if she wanted to do this, they could have planned a family trip together and not dumped their kid on me. She said that she already bought the ticket and I might as well take him. I told her no again and then got on my flights. My family was proud of me for standing my ground, as they didn't like her either. Turns out that sometime after or during the pandemic, my cousin and his wife got divorced. Understandable. His now ex-wife went behind his back trying to get his son on an international flight when they could have planned a family trip together. Yeah, crazy. I'm not gonna lie, halfway through this one I was thinking, you know what, it's pretty poor from this woman, but your family, is there no way you can just sit with this kid for a bit of the flight and make sure he's okay and then go your own separate ways when you get to the country? But even that is a lot of effort, so that's probably not a good decision. But then, hearing all the rest of the context here, you don't even know what the woman who's supposed to be picking him up looks like. How would that ever work? So what, you're just gonna give him to a random stranger that you've never met? Where's the logic there? I mean, clearly there isn't any, but my goodness me. And I think at the end you were saying that his mum and dad had already been divorced before this debacle. If that is the case, that does make sense. Even if they then got divorced, it still makes sense because she's clearly a deluded and strange, messed up individual. Oh, and apparently flying internationally with a child requires documentation, according to the comments, especially when not immediate family. Well, there you go. So that would have massively impacted your flight as well, because the security would have been like, well, what are you doing here? Who is this kid? God, what a mess that would have been. All because of this crazy lady. Now for our third story of this episode. Cousin was mad I didn't barbecue food without seasoning for her baby. On the weekend immediately after July 4th, I hosted a family barbecue. My slightly older cousin, in her mid-30s, had told me that she was not coming a week in advance. Then, about 2 hours before the event, she changes her mind and tells me she will be coming with her husband and her 1.5-year-old daughter. This was not a problem. We bought enough food for there to be lots of leftover. While we were there, my husband and I were slaving away in front of 3 barbecues in the yard to cook for a group of 24 people and a baby. We didn't have time to take a break or go inside with everyone else. They were inside because it was raining. During this time, my cousin or her husband constantly came over to complain about our food. They were the only ones who complained that the food was too salty. Everyone else who came over to speak with us loved and devoured the food. After the Wagyu tomahawks were served, my cousin came over again. Wow, that sounds good, by the way. This time, her face was red and she was livid. It was red from anger, not drinking. She's a non-drinker. She started complaining that we should have known better and that her baby couldn't eat such salty foods and that we should have made separate food for them, unseasoned. I told her that there was no way we could have done that. We already bought all the food we needed beforehand. Everything was seasoned or dry brined ahead of time. I suggested giving her a big bowl of water so she could try washing off any seasoning before feeding her baby, but she said that wasn't good enough. That's when her husband showed up and suggested that I go to the butcher and buy another tomahawk and come back. That way, their daughter could also have some unseasoned. My husband said no. We weren't wasting time, gas, and money on a 1.5-year-old, and even if we did, she obviously would not have been able to finish an entire steak. I just don't understand what changed. She was never like this before she had her kid. Now she expects the world to revolve around her. Is this something that involuntarily happens to a large percentage of new parents? Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. I would invite my child to your wedding. By the way, didn't say she was going to come, but now she's coming. Now that, to be fair, isn't great, but also you need to change the entire menu for her. Yeah. If you could just do that really quickly, that'd be so good. Pop to the shops, leave the barbecue and everyone else's food. Just go to the shops quickly, spend a bit of money on a brand new steak that she's obviously not going to eat. And don't put any salt in it this time. Just for her, because we gave you such a big warning of a couple of hours. You clowns. I would say, to answer your question up here at the end, yes, I think. I mean, look, parents in the comments, let me know. I do imagine that when you have new parents, they do think that the kid is their world, because for them it is. But for other people, it is not. And that is the difference, I think. These parents need to understand that. Yes, you love your kid very much and it's the center of your universe, but no one else actually cares about your child. That's the truth, let's be completely honest. I mean, that's a bit harsh. Some people care, but most people do not care. And now for our final story of this episode. This one is an absolute whirlwind. Worst Karen I've ever seen caused the blow up for the ages because I wouldn't give her son a black belt on his first day of karate. First up, some background. I teach Kenpo Karate as a 2nd degree black belt. I also have an assistant, Kira, a 1st degree black belt in her own right. I don't own the gym, my instructor does, but since he's gotten older, me and Kira handle the younger classes while he handles the business side of things plus adult class. We have 3 classes, a kids class of ages 5 to 10, an intermediate class 11 to 15, and an adult class age 16 and up. So onto the story. The kids class has just ended and a woman walks in with her son. She says her 13-year-old son wants to take karate lessons. So I shake hands with her and have her sit down with my instructor to fill out the waivers and get him his G measurements. Other students file in for the intermediate class and me and Kira get down to business. I take the bulk of the class, around 15 kids, while Kira goes with the new student one-on-one to teach him basic strikes and stances. Not 5 minutes later, I hear Kira upset, telling the new boy to do 10 push-ups. Why? Well, he called Kira, who's essentially a volunteer, a frickin' female dog. Karen, the mother, stands up and says her son can't do push-ups, as she doesn't want her son to be sore. Kira lets him do the push-ups on his knees, but not 5 minutes later, she makes him do 20 more, since he's now called her a S-word. What? For reference, Kira is in her early 20s and the boy is 13. Not to mention there's other parents and kids here as well. It's wholly inappropriate. So I walk over and ask Kira to switch with me. As she does, she gives me the bug eyes and mouths, "What the frick?" So I walk over and ask the boy why he insulted my assistant Kira. He said he doesn't like girls. When I asked him what he meant, he said he only listens to his dad or other boys. He won't listen to me at all. He needs some discipline, the mother confirms to me, chuckling, as if raising a monster is something to laugh about. When do I get a black belt like you have? The boy asked me. Mind you, he's been punched in the air the entire time. This boy is aggressively hyper. Well, it takes a while. I've been training since I was 5 and I earned my black belt at 21. So it took me a while, I say. Nah, I don't want to wait that long. I want mine now, he says, his chubby face now red and sweaty from the shadowboxing. The mother motions me over and whispers this in my ear. Do you think you can just give him one? Just to make him happy? No, sorry, he has to earn one. We aren't a belt factory. Well, he never gets told no. I'm sorry, but that's not how we do things here. Look, I have money. I can pay you extra. No, sorry, we only give belts when they're earned. After several minutes of arguing and conversation that leads nowhere, Karen snaps at me. I paid, so you give my son a black belt. She stands up and points a finger in my face. It was so sudden that I reflexively took a step back. Hey, chill out, lady, some of the other parents chime in. Before I can reply to Karen, I hear a loud commotion behind me. I hear more parents and students shouting. I turn and see the new boy smacking and hitting a girl in the class. Kira is shouting, "Hey, stop!" However, this girl that the new boy is hitting is a purple belt and a little badass of her own. She loads a front kick and hits brat boy center mass right in his flappy stomach. He shouts and doubles over, crying tears of pain. I was so freaking proud of her. Hey, that little female dog hurt my son! Karen runs past me onto the mat and gets in the face of the 14-year-old girl that her son just attacked. The girl is already scared and starts to cry, but Karen ups the ante and shoves this girl in the chest with her hand. Kira gets between them and is red-faced enraged. I immediately rush over and try to defuse the situation, but neither of them are having it. Parents stand up and start shouting, "Keep your hands off my daughter!" The girl's father, who was with the other parents, yells at Karen. He starts approaching aggressively, but backs off when he realizes that me and Kira, both black belts, are by her. Now, you should know something about Kira. She's under 5 foot and less than 110 pounds soaking wet, but she can still kick my butt up and down the mat on any given day. She's fast, accurate, and insanely flexible. She can control her body and perform techniques that I just simply can't. So Kira and Karen get into a shouting match with each other. I tell Karen to leave with your kid and don't come back. Don't you ever lay a hand on any of my students. Do you understand? I raised my voice and was genuinely fuming. F you! My son needs a black belt and you won't give him one! She screams back at me. Your son is crazy. He attacked our students, Kira interjects. But this set Karen off as she reaches and tries to slap Kira in the face. Ha ha ha. That's a big mistake. Having had enough, Kira parries the smack and fires an absolutely vicious leg kick right into the meat of Karen's inner thigh with nothing held back. The slap sound of Kira's shin bone decimating Karen's thigh echoed off the ceiling like a slab of meat getting thrown on the floor. It was glorious. Karen gasped as she fell onto the mat in a heap. Oh, Oh my god. She held her leg as Brat Boy got up and rushed at Kira. I got in front of her and grabbed the boy's wildly swinging arms. Yeah, he hit me a few times, but I refused to hit children whatsoever. I let him tire himself out. One of the parents called the police. After interviewing everyone involved, they determined that Kira and myself acted in self-defense. Neither of us wanted to pursue assault charges against Karen, but the parents of the girl Karen shoved rightly felt differently about it. So Karen was hauled away in handcuffs. Karen said that she'd sue me and Kira in civil court, but since we have legal waivers, here's hoping that nothing comes of that. As for the boy, I honestly feel bad. His childhood has been robbed by terrible parenting, and I wish we could have had more time to straighten him out. I have particular dislike for his views of women, and I feel like I really could have helped turn him around. Maybe, maybe not. So yeah, that was my experience tonight. Hope you all enjoy reading it more than I did going through it. Well, I did enjoy reading that. That was unbelievable. Put yourself in this spot. What are you doing here? What are you doing? It's so dumb. If you're going to pick a fight with anybody, anywhere, I personally wouldn't choose karate instructors in a dojo. It just doesn't seem like a great idea to me. I do really like, though, what OP said about the kid. It's kind of what I feel with a lot of these children that we do see in these stories. A lot of the time, I don't think it's their fault that they're saying these sort of things, right? You know, horribly sexist things. Like, where's he got that from is what I'm trying to say. You're not born with this in your mind, I don't think. So therefore, clearly, we can tell by the actions of his mother throughout the story as well, and the things she's saying, is their terrible parenting. As OP says, there's the reason for this child just being absolutely awful right now. But that is one of the beautiful things about a place like a dojo, a community like that. Yes, you're being taught how to do martial arts and that sort of stuff, which is great, but you're also getting taught how to be a good human. That is as important, well, probably more important, let's be completely fair, when you have a kid like this. Mental scenes, and yeah, kind of wish that Kira was allowed just to batter her. Would have been good, eh? Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and you want more Entitled Parents content from me straight away, check out the stories on screen right now, or if you're listening on a podcast, then click the link down below. Do it now.